Chapter 2 of God Will Work With You But Not For You by Lao Russell. And it starts out with Who Am I? I'll put the book on the screen, but the copy that is online was downloaded incorrectly. So I'm going to read this from the book, from a picture of the book. Who am I? What am I? Why am I here? Man has eternally sought for the answers to these vital questions all down the long ages. The great fact of life is that life must be lived, and man's strongest instinct is to live. He tenaciously clings to life with all the zeal of his being. He does not yet know who he is, his identity, his individuality, what he is, or the why of so many things which bewilder him. Day by day he faces that one supreme fact that he is here and must live and work to survive. He must forever climb mysterious heights beyond his present level. And always they seem elusive, unreachable, unknowable. He very forcibly senses his existence as a living being, but he sees no meaning to existence. He intuitively feels that he has a destiny and purpose for which he is forever groping along the tortuous road that leads out of the dark of his early beginnings to the unknown light of his seeking. All down the ages, life has begun in the dark of not knowing the great secret of man's oneness and identity with God. Even though he may have been told of it, the telling had no meaning. The path ahead was still as dark and as bewildering. In this crucial hour of danger, these vital questions of the identity and purpose of man must now be known and fully comprehended. To remain in ignorance of the meaning of man and his high place in the unfolding of God's supreme idea is holding each man back who is not aware of it. It is, likewise, retarding the progress of the whole human race from discovering its divine destiny. Before answering these vital questions, I say to you in all earnestness that new knowledge based upon new concepts and written in a necessarily new language is not a book for casual or light reading. All new knowledge requires great mental effort. It would be impossible to acquire more than a small percentage of what is herein written in one reading. It is a book for a lifetime study, not for a day. It is not to entertain, but rather to inspire those who are ready for the next vital stage in man's unfolding. We are at the threshold of the cosmic age wherein man will begin to recognize his divine relationship to the Creator and his oneness with all creation. To attain such knowledge is to attain power to command one's body and one's destiny. That supreme goal is well worth supreme effort. Those who are ready for it will make that effort, just as one who has a great desire to be the head of a large industrial plant or a concert pianist will make that effort with love as his motivating force. Let me call to your mind the fact that everyone can reach the highest goal in life if he desires to and is willing to make the effort. Those who are willing to make the effort will find that genius is self-bestowed, while the unwilling ones will find that failure is self-inflicted. Every child has consummate genius in him at birth. What he does with his divine inheritance is dependent upon the intensity of his desire to express himself. That is why the answers to these great human questions are so necessary for your comprehension. Question 1. Who am I? You are a divine, immortal, invisible soul. You center a visible, physical body which consists solely of thought waves of motion, created for the purpose of manifesting your divinity. Your divine, immortal soul is one with the Creator of the universe. That is what Jesus meant when he said, I and my Father are one, and what I am, ye also are. Now, I couldn't find in the Bible where it said, "What I am, ye also are," but I did find where it says, "Where I am, you will also be." And, there's many other things like, "You will do greater works than I. Didn't I say ye are gods?" I mean, there's many passages that allude to that, but I did not find that exact quote there. Many have told us these facts, but man thinks of his body as himself. He has found it difficult to accept the idea of his own divinity. This fact is not difficult to accept by the few who have already been illumined from within. These few know God within them. These are the ones who have heard the silent voice of their souls whispering to them in rhythms which finally had meaning. There are many today who walk and talk and work knowingly with God, and God works with them to make their work masterly. These who have learned to manifest God on earth have re-inspired others to know their divinity. They commune with God in moment-to-moment awareness of Him and are the few who uplift the many, showing them the way out of the dark into the light. Your body is not you. You are the spiritual intelligence of the one mind of the Creator of all things, which centers your body as a seat of consciousness. Your body is not you. You are the spiritual intelligence of the one mind of the Creator of all things, which centers your body as a seat of consciousness. Within your soul is the desire to create a body in the form of your imagining. That is why you eventually become what you think. Your soul is one of the innumerable conscious thought centers of God's mind universe. From that conscious thought center of universal mind, your body unfolds to express thought by action, then refolds within the soul center for rest and renewal before again unfolding. Your body disappears into your soul as completely as sound disappears into the silence from which it emerged. The rest period of your body, which disappears into your soul between death and birth, is like the rest period of sleep at night between days, the only difference being in length of time. The rest periods between actions are characteristic of all effects of motion in nature. That is the answer to the eternal question, where do we go when we die? Our bodies go back into ourselves from which they emerged. All bodies are but wave vibrations of motion. They spring from the universal rest condition, known as the universal equilibrium, and return to the invisible stillness of that equilibrium from which they sprang. The body of the oak tree arises from the stillness of its seed and refolds into its seed for rebirth. Waves of water spring into motion from their calm surface. When waves die, they return to rest in that calm surface. These creations appear, and you can see them, count them, measure them. They then disappear, so you can no longer see them, count them, or measure them, but they continually reappear and disappear forever. This is the life-death principle, which will be clarified by numerous examples all through this book to clear away the question that bewilders the world regarding the after-death mystery. Your soul is eternal. You are your soul. In you is eternal life. The eternal you is never created in body form. Therefore, you cannot die. Your soul is the generator of power which motivates your physical body, and it is the seat of intelligence and consciousness which creates and controls your body. Your soul is the kingdom of heaven, which Jesus, God's divine messenger, bade you to seek within you. The more you know about your soul's relation to your body, the more you will know about the intimate closeness of God to you. For this reason, the vague ideas and theories concerning the soul must be replaced by dynamic knowledge. Many believe that the soul is limited to human beings. They think animals do not have souls. The idea of trees, flowers, insects, or the elements of matter having souls, is not generally accepted. It is a fact, however, that every created thing in the universe has a soul, no matter whether it is animal, vegetable, or mineral, or whether it is a complex body or simple particle of iron, calcium, or silver. Your soul is your mind. Both mean the same thing. Mind created all things, so mind centers all things it creates. Mind creates many different ideas into body forms. However, and each idea has a different pattern. Your soul governs the pattern of the idea of man. You unfold from your soul into the body of man, then you refold into your soul again to be born as the pattern of a man. The soul of a dog unfolds as a dog, and the soul of a rose unfolds as the rose idea. In other words, soul means desire of mind to divide the one whole idea of creation into many ideas. There is but one universal soul, as there is but one universal mind. But when you say my soul or my mind, you mean your identity as a unit of creation. You think of yourself as John Doe, an individual man. There are millions of men, but there is only one idea of man, or dog, or oak, or violet as species. God's mind created all of these, but soul and mind governs and controls the unfolding and refolding of species. The soul is the record of each pattern in a body. To illustrate my meaning, think of an acorn. In the center of that acorn is the soul of what can unfold into a 50-ton oak tree, because the soul of the oak has unfolded and refolded that particular pattern for millions of years. It has governed and controlled that unfolding idea of the oak from its beginning as a simple spore or mold until it became a mighty oak. Likewise, your soul has governed and controlled the unfolding of your body from your single-cell beginning. The soul of the oak is only a microscopic point in that acorn, yet in that microscopic weightless point is every branch, leaf, and root of that 50-ton tree, yet you cannot see any part of it even through an electronic microscope. The soul has the same meaning in relation to mind as the seed has in relation to species of growing things. You would not go into a farm supply store and ask for a package of tomato souls. You would ask for tomato seeds. However, both mean the same thing. You know that the invisible oak emerges from the invisible seed, or more properly speaking, the oak emerges from its invisible soul, which centers its seed. You know also that as the oak unfolds from its soul, it refolds back into its soul. By this I mean that as oaks unfold from acorns, they refold their oak tree patterns back into acorns to continue the desire of the oak tree soul. You may not have thought of it that way, but that is the way nature works. The seeds which grow on the tree are the records of the visible, living tree which has refolded its entire body pattern into the invisible soul from which it emerged. Unfolding and refolding are simultaneous. Living and dying are simultaneous. There is no death. However, for the living tree still lives in its soul seed and will again emerge from its invisible soul to again live as the mighty visible oak. Death is always balanced with life. As one ceases, the other becomes. This may be new thinking to you, but it is vitally important for you to realize that you cannot die either as a species or as an individual unit of a species. The record of you exists forever and eternally. Your body unfolded its patterned form from your eternal soul, and it refolded its patterned form and every thought and action of your life back into your soul. That is God's bookkeeping and recording system. It is also the expansion-contraction principle of electric action and reaction, which performs the work of unfolding patterned bodies from the invisible universe to make them visible, then refolding them to their invisible state. It is also the thinking principle which concentrates to focus conceived ideas into body forms, then decentrates to rest. It's uncenters to rest. The body forms then disappear to rest for an interval in the invisible souls before again emerging to manifest the idea they symbolize by going into action again. The visible seed which surrounds the soul may burn up or decay, but the soul which centers it cannot be destroyed. In that soul is the desire for creation which cannot be avoided by any condition of matter. Not even the hot fires of the sun can affect it. That identity which is enfolded there will find its condition for unfolding in another body. The difficulty of thinking of a multitude of souls as being separate souls for each body might disappear by relating the idea of separate waves of the ocean to the source of all its waves. There is but one body of water in the ocean, but there are countless waves. The waves are many, but they are that one ocean. Likewise, there is but one universal mind, but all of its divided units are that one mind. Also, there are billions of cells in your body, but they are your one body. Science has long said matter seems to emerge from space and then be swallowed up by space. They still doubt, however, that the process of emergence and disappearance can be solved. The solution is simple. Bodies are electric. Mind thinking is electric. All electric bodies are recorded in electrical records which are stored in the invisible universe of mind, as sound records are stored between playings. When you desire to reproduce an electric record, you place the record on the electric recorder and turn on the current. Soul records are reborn in the same manner. The electric power of the universal generator is turned on by placing the soul seed in the womb of Mother Earth or Mother Body, and the record repeats itself. All bodies emerge from the soul and return to it. The visible emerges from the invisible, is controlled by it, and returns to it. That is the answer to the question, where do I go when I die? You never die. The visible body of you, which emerges from the invisible you, returns to you. It returns to your soul for rebirth forever and ever until your separate individuality is lost in one being, as individual waves are lost in one ocean. When you have finally reached the stage of complete unity with your God self, you will become one with God and lose your desire to manifest individuality. However, this state may be thousands of lives ahead, for it is the ultimate.